everyone's assets, from your financial institution balance to your brokerage account to your cryptocurrency account, nearly everything is numerical. It's figures in the ether. When you visit the bank, if everyone simultaneously goes to the bank and demands, "Give us our funds," you won't receive it. It's not all there. In reality, they are significantly undercapitalized. They possess next to nothing in terms of reserve. For instance, Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the United States, if they declare insolvency, and they explicitly mention the term insolvency, individuals who have points held on the exchange will probably forfeit all of them. So everything we're discussing, whether it pertains to undercapitalization in banks, whether it is that the equities you believe you possess are digits on a screen since you no longer hold the certificates. No one possesses bearer bonds anymore. No one possesses anything. Therefore, when discussing physical metal, these are tangible items that you possess, free from counterparty risk. The key distinction here is that wealth is numerical on a screen in the ether, and having physical metal with the elimination of counterparty risk is genuinely significant. It's crucial, it's pertinent, and I think you can begin to perceive that as circumstances become precarious around us. I think it's crucial to recognize that when we talk about valuation, if you visualize the US dollar as water inside a bathtub, and gold and silver are situated on the ledge of the bathtub, they're perched on the ledge observing the water. Perhaps the water reaches the top of the tub. However, when you pull the plug on the tub, and the water commences dripping, contingent on how far the dollar plummets, in this scenario it's not that gold and silver are gaining more value, it's that the dollar is diminishing in value on its way to insignificance. Reflect on, for instance, Weimar Republic Germany, albeit it was a considerable time ago following World War I. Nevertheless, revisiting the fact that people would transport wheelbarrows filled with Reich notes to the store to purchase a loaf of bread, and they'd return outside to discover that the currency was on the ground, but the wheelbarrow had been pilfered. The essence is that it hinges on how far the dollar ultimately descends. What gold and silver signify, and have symbolized for 5 millennia, is unalterable wealth. And during periods of uncertainty and speculation, I believe it's never been more imperative to possess gold and silver, because frankly, I believe the days of the dollar as the global reserve currency, as the exclusive global reserve currency, are approaching an end. When you witness Saudi Arabia vending their oil to China for yuan, when you observe Nigeria selling their oil to China for yuan, when you perceive Russia selling their arms to India for rupee and their oil, gas, and coal to China for yuan, when you witness this type of discourse, when you observe the weaponization of the dollar expelling Russia from SWIFT, when you discern the repercussions of the dollar being supplanted as the sole petrodollar settlement currency for energy and oil, it's the inception of the conclusion for the dollar. Do you observe how we are gradually veering away from the dollar and its dominance as the sole global reserve currency, as the petrodollar? And when that moment transpires, when OPEC declares, you know what, we're being safeguarded by Russia and China. We've resolved that it's in our best interest, in the world's best interest, to open up oil payments to other currencies. When that unfolds, abruptly, just like that, when those dollars inundate home, they will instigate hyperinflation in this country. If you assume inflation is problematic now, witness what transpires when the majority of the world jettisons dollars, and it utterly forfeits all its value. When that occurs, interest rates soar, and equities, bonds, and real estate crumble simultaneously. Equities, bonds, real estate, and the dollar all collapse, and it's all in the hands of the Saudis. If the Saudis declare, you know what, we're steering in a different direction, and OPEC is going to propose oil in other currencies, it's curtains for the US dollar. And that's when an ounce of silver genuinely becomes significant, because the dollar is disintegrating, as are all fiat currencies, and the prettiest mare in the slaughterhouse has never been more crucial to have alternatives to what I believe is a failing Keynesian system, a fiat system devoid of backing, and I genuinely believe the days of the dollar as a lone global reserve currency. I think gold and silver represent wealth. You don't want to infuse speculation. All I can convey is that when currency metamorphoses into a hot potato, when no one desires it any longer, when the world is discarding it, possessing physical precious metals will possess far greater significance. It's not about amassing wealth, it is wealth. And during periods of substantial dollar uncertainty, instability, and geopolitical instability, I don't think it's ever been more pivotal, ever. Truly don't. I've always endeavored, at least in terms of dollars, to go 50-50. I believe silver is a considerably better value right now. And with a gold to silver ratio of 82 or 3 to 1, the opportunity to accrue silver and exchange it for gold when that ratio rectifies, as it inevitably will, it's profound. It's undervalued by a factor of 12 compared to its geologic footprint. Currently, I'd lean more towards silver with the intention of transitioning to gold. Many might disagree with me on this. A lot of individuals believe silver is the ultimate place to be. While I genuinely appreciate silver and wouldn't be disheartened if I found myself with a substantial amount of silver, the fact that gold was reclassified as the world's only other Tier 1 reserve asset indicates to me that gold is ultimately where you want the majority of your wealth. But not just yet. Not until that ratio normalizes. When I initially broached this subject in 2010s and conducted my initial podcast due to it, the ratio was 85 to 1. It was only the second time in human history it had ever reached such heights. I urged everyone to shift from gold to silver. Within 8 months, we achieved 37 to 1 with $50 silver, entering a rarefied atmosphere that's been experienced only a few times in 100 years. So the notion is, if it's being extracted from the ground at 7 to 1 globally because it's found in nature in something called epithermal, which is very close to the surface, and major deposits were discovered long ago, if it's coming out of the ground at 7 to 1, but priced at 83 to 1, one could argue it's undervalued by 12 times. So when do you act? I don't know. I don't believe you should wait until it attains its geologic ratio of 7 to 1. But whenever it approaches its 200-year average of 42 to 1, that's a twofold increase right there. In other words, if you have an ounce of gold, theoretically, you receive 83 ounces of silver for that 1 ounce of gold. Well, when it reaches 41.5, you double what you began with. I ultimately believe gold is the destination, but silver is the route to acquiring substantially more gold. Silver can render you affluent if you possess enough of it. The only predicament this time around is that amassing wealth in silver may come at the cost of the dollar appreciating. Gold and silver mirror the bathtub water draining away. And that's the essence. That's why I don't depict gold and silver as wealth creators. It is a wealth preserver. It still acquires you the same goods it did. That's what it does. It conserves your purchasing power. And that's the most critical aspect, even if the dollars against which we gauge it are skewed. The dollar is the most attractive option among a host of inferior fiat currencies. Nevertheless, if we encounter another country announcing, you know what, we're pegging our new digital yuan, we'll term it the new digital BRICS currencies. Because Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa are all participating, and we're all pegging 15,000 metric tons of gold to this, each to 100,000 metric tons of gold. We're pegging to this new digital BRICS currency with the immutability and veracity of that gold preserved on a decentralized ledger. Everything will swiftly make sense. The world will gravitate toward a system supported by stability, resilience, and an asset, rather than one underpinned by $130 trillion in debt. And this is the quandary we face. This is why you possess gold and silver and moderate your exposure. Whether you own more silver or more gold, it doesn't matter in the end. Ultimately, you aim to moderate your exposure to the dollar.